here in town. So
Very good.
the type 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Yeah. So I really hope you guys can make it. And
Thank you very
so
much. Appreciate it. Any other public comments?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Aurelio Lopez. I am a software engineer, Triquibajo interpreter, and the founder of Apprentec Culture and Technology. It's a local initiative based in Greenfield. Apprentec was created with one clear mission, to empower youth and families through technology innovation and cultural preservation. Our work focuses on three main areas. First, youth technology education. We are developing structured programs in web development, robotics, artificial intelligence, and digital skills for middle school and high school students. The goal is to not just exposure to technology, but real world applications, building websites, developing projects, for example, for the city of Greenfield websites, or for local businesses, and preparing students for future career in technology. Second, culture and language technology. As many of you know, our community includes families with indigenous language backgrounds. Apprentec is building digital tools to preserve and advance native languages through technology, ensuring our cultural heritage is not lost, but supported and carried forward through innovation. Apprentec is currently building a website where we include language preservation, and also we are currently building an application that also includes native language preservation. Third, indigenous interpreter access. We are building a dedicated interpreter access platform that connects organizations and community members directly with qualified indigenous language interpreters. This includes support for courts, hospitals, schools, social services, and local businesses. Our goal is to promote reliable and accessible interpreter services so indigenous families in Greenfield can fully participate in critical conversations. Greenfield has incredible potential. Our youth are talented, capable, and ready for opportunities. With the right partnership between the city, schools, and community organizations, we can create a long-term pathway that prepares students not only for jobs, but for leaderships and meaningful contribution to our community. I am here tonight to introduce Apprentec and express my interest in collaborating with the city of Greenfield and for youth technology initiatives, summer programs, and our community innovations projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? I see no hands raised. All right, I will close public comment, bring it back to council for council comments.
Thank you. I just have two things. On the lighter side, we have a mural coming up on March 10th at 4 p.m. Patriot Park. It's the unveiling of a beautiful mural that's, I believe it's supported by the Salinas Valley Waste Authority, and I think someone else has more information about money and funding and all that. My biggest thing I wanted to touch on, say something. I was really bothered about what happened on Friday. I heard about it through the news. I always keep my ears and eyes open to hear when Greenfield will be mentioned. And it saddened me to hear that there was a fight that involved Greenfield students. And I don't know if the numbers are correct, but a dozen students and 2 victims. I don't know all of the circumstances. I was grateful to hear that we did have our responders and officers who were present to assist in getting medical attention and investigate, and knowing that it's in that location. I'm sure there are cameras, hopefully. Usually when it's a youth, there's usually have their own cameras filming. I understand that some headway is already being made to identify who was there, what happened. And we need to help our kids. It's so easy to help the lovely, the beautiful, the A students, the ones that want to be photographed and dress up, and it's so easy to help them and reach them. I went from criminologist to kindergarten teacher because while I worked with Youth Authority, while I was working with kids who were in group homes, I realized that that's too late. It's too late if we want to help our kids. I wanted to help kids who were in juvenile hall. I wanted to help the kids who were in group homes. I helped them with their homework, how to budget, how to cook, how to survive so that they could get through high school. And I eventually quit and wandered the world for 1.5 years and said, how in the world are we going to reach these kids? It's too late. It's too late for us to make the big impact when they've already been arrested, when they've already seen that side of the jail cell, a courtroom. And so after 1.5 years, I realized we need to reach them before they're even 5. And so that's why I started as a kindergarten teacher. It was a pay cut. I make more money. I would have made more money helping the kids in juvenile hall than teaching them in kindergarten. But it's not about the money. It's about saving these kids. And I was a teacher, principal for 34 years. And I know what it's like for my students to walk out of a school and I see gang members just waiting to talk to them. I call them crows because they would sit on the fences and benches and just watching our kids come and go. And so it saddens me to see that it's happened here in Greenfield. I don't know why these kids are fighting, but let's not say, oh, well, it's one time. So I just want to find a way to support our city, to help our students, so that we're not going to catch them all, but we can help at least one. Can you imagine what it would be like if we help one student a day? That's 365 kids in 1 year. And that means a lot of families. So my heart goes out to the kids and the families that went through that tragedy on Friday. That's it.
Thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to touch on a couple of things tonight. I was notified by several of our landlords here in town. We have a lot of apartments available here in Greenfield right now. The Magnolia on phase 1, they have 2 apartments available. They do accept Section 8, and you have to be minimum age is 55. There's 3 other landlords also. One has 3 apartments and one has 6 apartments. The other one, I'm not quite sure how many they have. So if you know anybody, out there that is looking for housing, if you can always contact me, and I'd be more than happy to get you in contact with some of these landlords. I think this is the first time we've had so many apartments available in a very long time. Not quite sure what's going on, but there's a lot of them and they need to get filled. Something that I touched on with our city manager, I live over on District 3. One of the things that we see a big problem with right now is rats, not mice, rats. Probably about that big. So I'd really like to see if we can figure something out here. I do know a lot of people carry a lot of trash around the residence, a lot of fruit trees. The fruit is falling, and so they're eating this, and these suckers are growing big. And thank God I don't have any in my house, but I have a rat terrier, and she loves to kill them and drag them home, and it's not a pretty sight. I thought they were gophers, they're rats. So it's something we really need to pay attention to. Also, at this time, I'd like to see if we can bring back the trailer parking. I think that it was supposed to be brought back after like 6 months. We extended it. And if we can bring that back, if the council is okay with that.
Sure.
And I'd like to revisit that. And the reason I'm saying that is because some of the trailers parked around my neighborhood, they have garbage in them. And that may be contributing. I don't know what the problem is with these rats, but it may be contributing. Some of them have, wood, things like that, but some of them do have garbage. And we have a lot of those, the people that are picking up garbage, which is fine. I think it's awesome. But at the same time, we need to make sure that they're getting rid of this stuff and dumping it in proper places. So, I think it was probably about 21 years ago, we had a big infestation of mice here in Greenfield. It was a lot. We were catching probably anywhere from 8 to 13 a day. It was really bad. And you could even buy a mouse trap anywhere in this in Greenfield, any of the other towns, because it was so bad. So it's something really serious. It's really, because we have a lot of people, we have a lot of overcrowding. A lot of people don't sleep on beds, they sleep on floors. So it's really important, that we figure out what's going on, and, even if we don't figure it out, at least we start addressing it. So it's something. I know October is Domestic Violence Month, but just recently in the city of Gonzales, we had a woman lose her life to domestic violence. There was another one over, I think, outside of Salinas just recently too. I don't think that it should be, it's nice to have it in October, Awareness Month, but it's something that's really important that it should be, we should make people aware of this. It happens on a daily basis throughout every day, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. It happens. And so I'd really like to see what our city does, what we have in place for domestic violence cases and victims, what we do for them. I'd really like to know, because, if somebody were to come to me or something, if I'm aware of somebody, I'd really like to be able to tell them what to do and where to go and what services we have. So maybe if I could meet with chief, or we can do something at city council, during a meeting, if we can find out more information on that. Just make the public more aware. I'd hate to see anybody lose their life, and but it does happen very often. Next, I want to touch on something that Councilmember Garcia was talking about, was the youth violence. I was really shocked when I wasn't shocked. I was disappointed that happened, and in broad daylight. And I know that our police department and our other departments that we have in here are doing a lot of activities for our youth, but sometimes some of the children, they get lost in the system, and sometimes, it is too late, until they're adults. And we do have services here in town, and there's different organizations that do help them. But we need to do more, you know, and I think a lot of it, not just with the kids, but with the parents. I think parents.
Mhm.
I was at the courthouse today, so I was reading a case, and this person went down the wrong path because of parents. And so I think that's something that we really need to discuss also is maybe, I know we've been really concentrating on the youth, but I think we really need to educate the parents also and give them resources too. So, and I know you're doing a lot, Chief, but we could do some more. So that's all I'm asking. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Good evening. My first thing is just FYI for everyone, I'll be attending the second annual State Legislative Issues Day at the Capitol to receive an update from Speaker Rivas, members of our state delegation and assembly committee chairs. And I'm looking forward to learning more about the legislative work taking place this year. And I also wanted to ask if anyone else is going.
I have a TAMC meeting.
Oh, okay. I think you went
I
last
went
year
last
though.
year, yes.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll be my first year. And learning, hopefully bringing some good information back for Greenfield. The second thing is that the market at the gazebo is going to be back up starting March 7th from 9 to 3. So I encourage everybody to go out and shop your local vendors because a lot of them, as we learned, are Greenfield residents, so it's supporting our neighbors. And then lastly, we are not going to meet again before the upcoming Women's Day, which one of our city staff kind of put it on my radar, Braulio. So thank you for reminding me that's coming up, and we're not going to be meeting before that. So I just want to say happy National Women's Day. And that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you very much. I just have a few things. I attended the South County Senior Social on the 11th. There was over 100 people there. Something that we're really doing well there. We're really getting a large turnout. So want to commend the city for putting that on, and I think it's well worth our investment on that. There is a community walk on Fridays at 9:30 from the gazebo park. So please attend if you can. It's been going on for a couple weeks. It's great to get out and get a little fresh air. It was really fresh this last weekend, last Friday, but it should be better on Friday. And I want to offer congratulations to the Greenfield High School for the winners of the Academic World Quest. They demonstrated skills and knowledge on philosophy, world affairs, and economics and politics. Teams from all the high schools in the county were there, and Greenfield proved that they were the best. They won.
Wow.
They earned a trip to Washington, D.C. to compete in a national competition. So go Bruins. Congratulations. All right. All right. Let's go to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one action of the city council unless a request for removal for discussion or explanation is received prior to the time council votes on the motion to adopt. Are there any public comments concerning the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Does anybody want to pull anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Mayor's presentations, proclamations, communications, and resolutions. Presentation by the Greenfield Youth Council.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Manager, Attorney, and Greenfield community. My name is Giselle Ibarra, and I'm one of the 3 commissioners of the Greenfield Youth Council.
Good evening. My name is Rosalinda Hernandez, and I'm also a youth commissioner.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Perea, and I am also a youth commissioner.
Good evening. I am Francisco Acosta, a Youth Council ambassador.
The Greenfield Youth Council is a program who promotes the participation and engagement of young people in civic life. We currently have 10 youth leaders in our current group. Traffic accidents have been an issue within our area, and the Greenfield Youth Council hopes to educate and raise awareness to peers by promoting traffic safety to create a safer community. We approach the issue by creating a mini-series on traffic safety awareness. In this series, we interviewed high school students and staff to gather local experiences and perspectives. We also opened a 2-week survey to Greenfield High students where we gathered 102 responses. With the survey, we included a giveaway for 11 winners with prizes donated by our local Starbucks. Here are some of our winners. Again, the purpose of the survey was to access the knowledge of students on traffic safety and bring attention to the issue to create a safer environment. The majority of the survey participants were about 16-year-olds with 11th graders.
Now, let's take a look at the various levels of knowledge that Greenfield High School students have on pedestrian safety. 76 of the students we interviewed know enough about pedestrian safety to stay safe, but not enough to educate others. Most of the information they receive comes from family members, which can be alarming if the information is outdated or inaccurate. Now let's take a look at risk behaviors associated with pedestrian safety. 52 students admitted to using their phones while walking, and other risk behaviors include running across the street or wearing dark clothing, which is concerning since 46 out of 100 students have come close to being hit by a vehicle. Moving on, 61 students say that driver's education plays a big role in their comfort and safety, showing that there is uncertainty on whether drivers are properly educated on the right-of-way for pedestrians or road rules in general. Furthermore, physical influences such as poor lighting and fainted crosswalks are a concern to many students. Let's dive deeper into traffic concerns that students notice. 81 students say that distracted drivers are a key concern, with 61 students saying that distracted pedestrians who are, for example, on their phones, are also prevalent. This relationship shows that both drivers and pedestrians influence traffic safety around the city. So now, what do students in Greenfield want to see more of when it comes to regarding pedestrian safety and traffic safety? 51 students would like to see social media awareness, 48 would like to see more signs around town, and 46 would like to see guest speakers at school, showing that change is possible with the right resources.
Some key takeaways. High school students desire more visual awareness, like signs, posters, speakers, and social media content. High school students are smart enough to keep themselves safe, but not informed enough to help others. This very lack of confidence is a reason for more safety education. High school students rely more on their own parents' knowledge about traffic safety than their own. This can lead to misinformation from outdated information. Bad habits from high school students put them at risk, like being on their phones, having both earphones, or just being distracted. High school students believe both drivers and pedestrians can do more to improve their knowledge of traffic, like being mindful of their surroundings. Some successes that we have had recently are that 2 members of the Greenfield Youth Council were interviewed by KSBW 8 on the work we have been doing on this action project. Our 5 videos and 2 posts, including a press release on traffic safety, have received over 55,000 views and 549 likes. We collaborated with our local PD, city staff, and Monterey County's Public Health Department thus far.
Because of these key takeaways, we want to bring to your attention a law that recently passed, which is AB 382. AB 382 is a law that reduces speed limits around school zones from 25 to 20 miles per hour statewide. Local authorities may adopt the lower speed limit if they choose to from January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2030. On January 1st, 2031, AB 382 will become a law statewide. With that being said, passing a law like this does not happen overnight. We gathered research by going to all Greenfield schools and counting all the 25-mile-per-hour signs that would need to be replaced. We counted a total of 18 signs and received a rough estimate of how much it would cost to replace the signs. Thank you to Jamie and Alejandra from Public Works for providing that rough estimate. The rough estimate is around $3,000, but that does not include labor costs. We as a youth council believe that being one of the first cities in Monterey County to implement this new law will set us apart and steer us in the direction of putting pedestrian safety first, and it aligns with the finding of this survey. We would love the opportunity to work with the city council and staff to make this a reality. The next steps for this project are to continue awareness videos for social media, present this to our school board, and collaborating with neighboring youth councils. Thank you, and we are open to any questions.
Questions from council?
Not a question, but awesome job. Comment. God, you guys are naturals.
Thank you for setting an example. You are going to be the future leaders. You might be sitting up here. You might be congressman, maybe president. Could be. So it's very important that you are involved, that you break out of your shyness. So thank you for being up here. It's not easy to stand. There are plenty of us who would not want it. Well, not me, I like a microphone. But there's a lot of people who would rather not stand here and talk. But you're doing it. And I do hope that we can help you with this. Like I said, it's not enough. We can talk about all the things we can say and do and da. If we really need $3,000, if we really need those signs, then we need to do that and follow up with us that we are getting it done. If we're not doing our job, I encourage you to come back and say, hey, you got 5 done, I need 18 more, 15 more, or if you see something else. And the other part I would suggest is invite other people who are not on your youth council by sitting with them at lunchtime or walking from class to class, just encouraging them to feel like it's not you guys, because sometimes in high school especially, it's them because you're in that group. But to help the rest of the people know they can come and talk to you, and you never know what those talks can lead to. So, but thank you and congratulations on how many views? How many?
55,000.
55,001. Okay. Thank you.
I do just want to say, I am not surprised how many views you guys got because I've seen them come across my feed and you guys are very engaging and they're very well done. So congratulations on a job well done and kudos for the work that you're doing.
I have a family that lives over in the other valley, and surprisingly, I was shocked because they've been reaching out to me lately. They were asking about the bike program that's done at the Science Workshop. This is over in Sanger and in Visalia area. And then I got a text message about our youth council. And these are other small communities that are wanting to start doing things like that. So I'm really happy that I direct everybody to your videos and the websites, everything else, so they can see what's happening here in town and what our youth is doing. I do foresee some of you probably sitting up here someday. I hope that you do. And all of you speak really well. Let me tell you, you can be up here and you're him and Han all the whole way through, so I give you big kudos for that. That I see your videos when you're practicing, and that's what it takes, dedication. And so thank you for doing that.
I'll just add on to that and say thank you very much for making Greenfield safer, and what you're doing is making a difference. 55,000 views, somebody's paying attention. So just keep doing what you're doing and making Greenfield a better place to live. So thank you very much.
That's it.
Okay.
All right. We will move on to presentation fiscal year 2025-26 mid-year budget review. You get to follow them.
I've been dreading this.
Yeah, you can train the youth council for next time.
That's what happens.
I guess the first thing I'd like to say is also to congratulate the youth council and our community engagement department, Braulio, and the whole gang in putting that together, because you're exactly right. They're gonna be up there someday. And even if they're not, look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy good. Keep going. Keep being active. What am I doing? Mid-year.
Money.
And so every year about this time, February, kind of the earliest we can do it, we try to give you a little snapshot of where we are halfway through the year. So July through December 31st. And we got everything together and we want to present that. Here's when you take all of the numbers that are in the computer system right now, this is the way they shake out. So when we did our amended budget right now says that we're hoping to come in with 20.9 million in revenues and spend about 20.3 or have about a $600,000 surplus. Up through December 31st, we've had 8.6 million in revenues, a little over 10 million in expenditures, or a deficit of about 1.4 million. Now, that is just like cash coming in and going out. There are some other adjustments that we'll go over when we get to some of the detail. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but I do want to let you know when we adjust and accrue revenues and we accrue expenses and adjust for normal things where some revenues don't come in at the beginning of the year, they come in at the end of the year. Just kind of how we're looking. So this is a graph basically showing revenues and expenditures, budget versus actual. Here we break down the revenues, and you can see that we go line by line. We've got about 53% in charges for services, and we're looking for 50% because we're halfway through the year. 62% in fees and permits. That's led by construction permits. Maybe people have been encouraged to get those construction permits based on our impending building moratorium. I don't know. Fines and forfeitures are at 39%. Franchise fees are at 19%. And that's because the bulk of those franchise fees don't come in until the end of the fiscal year. Interfund transfers at about 43%. Other revenues are 80%, and we'll get into the details there. But that's really led by the fire department, who sent out fire crews and equipment to wildfires this past fire season. And we send them out, we pay them, and I think you might remember this from our budget discussions. They get overtime for that, but we get reimbursed by the state at a rate that's higher than we pay out. So we had budgeted around $10,000 in reimbursement expenses. They actually came back and we received over $200,000. So that's actually really helping our revenue line. But I digress. Other revenues are at about 80%. Shoot, I hadn't looked at that one. Oh, sorry, that's where our other revenues is where our reimbursements for the fire is. Other taxes at 31%. That is a big number. That's budgeted at around 9 million, and we've received 2.8 about. That's where our sales taxes are. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as we get there. Recreational user fees at 52%. Revenue from other agencies at 16%. That is revenue from grants that are being accounted for in the general fund. And I'll go into a little explanation on why that's so low. And then our tax revenues are at 50%. This is just a breakout of all those categories, what we're looking at, budget versus actual. And here's expenditures. We're at 49%. I'm not going to go through every department. You can see those. City council, 59%. Well, the bulk of your expenses are from memberships to these organizations. We pay those out right at the beginning of the year. Community outreach, admin, city manager. So these are all trending less than 50%. So even though we had a big budget battle a few months, well, almost a year ago, we're trending lower than what we cut these expenses down to be. Utility billing is at 58%, and that's because the Solid Waste Authority passed some increases last year, and some of that didn't get budgeted into the utility billing. Police administration is 61%, and patrol servers are at 52%. Those variances have mainly to do with overtime. We'll have to look into that. We'll have to see how well we can contain it in the second half. Animal control at 25%. They've been shorthanded and not spending a lot of money. And that's also code enforcement, second line or third line from the bottom is at 41%. They will be hiring additional staff in that department. So we're not going to be seeing the same positive variance in the second half of the year. Fire department's at 53%. That is mainly due to the overtime being greater than we expected. But we have that $200,000 that we got reimbursed that more than offsets the 3% that we're over in overtime and fire. Public Works Administration, streets and parks trending between 40 and 50%. Recreation and Community Center at 47, daycare facility at 46. Building and planning at 32. With Paul not being here, I've not yet hired or considered hiring a community development director yet. And the main reason for that, not because I think I can do a decent job at it, but because we're supposed to be having a building moratorium. And until we find that out, if we have one, activity is going to go way down. And until we find out if we're going to have a building moratorium, does it make sense in my mind to be hiring that? We have Brent Slama, who's very capable to help out on the technical side, as well as the engineering, MNS with Doug and Tony. We've got the bases covered, planning wise, engineering wise, and I'm helping out in any way that I can in the decisions at the higher level. So I think we're going to continue to see building and planning have some good savings. And I already talked about code enforcement. And then the general department, those are miscellaneous expenses, were at 51%. So our total expenditures are at around 49%. Most of the departments are under budget. We have a couple because of overtime that are over. We try to address those things in the second half of the year. Here's another graph. Here's the meat and potatoes. It's all the same numbers. We saw the 41% of revenues, 49% on expenditures. There's the dollar amounts where we budgeted versus where we are. I do want to add, I'll just say very simply that if we look at a number of things, franchise fees, if we were to accrue 100,000 of the expected 200,000 into the first half of the year, sales taxes, remember they were at 31%. Well, that is only counting like 4 of the 6 months because we get sales tax 2.5 months after. So that normally accounts for around $831,000 for the months of November and December. So if we accrue that into this time frame, as well as if you look, can you see? Well, in the third green column over, Fund 105, Community Outreach, you'll see that we've budgeted, that's our grants. It's a community outreach run almost entirely on grants. We had budgeted 792,000. We don't have anything in revenue actually coming in yet because we haven't been reimbursed. So by definition, if expenditures are being funded by a grant, we are going to have that grant revenue. We just need to apply for reimbursement and then get the check in. Well, the reimbursements have been applied for. We just haven't got the check in as of December 31st. So the $418,000 down on the community outreach line, we will be getting those revenues, and they do apply to these $418,000. So I added those back. When you add back in, that totals around $1.35 million. That gets us to an adjusted revenue of around 48% versus the 50, which is what we'd expect. The delta is sales tax, and sales tax is not a great story because sales tax has been, let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna see if I can, yeah, okay, so that's the last slide in this presentation. I'll get back with questions, but I want to show you a graph. This is our Greenfield sales tax revenue analysis. We've been looking at sales tax by month, by sales tax line item, because we have our regular Bradley Burns, we have our 1%, and we have our 3/4% measures V, X, T, and W. What I really want to show you is the graph of what that all looks like. Let me make this bigger. Oh. Okay, so this is our last 10 years of sales tax data. You can see back in 16, 17, sorry, the bottom three are the individual sales tax, Bradley Burns, the 1%, and the 3/4%. And then the yellow or gold line at the top is our total sales tax. So you can see 16, 17 had gone up, kind of hovered around, you know, shy of 4 million in total, kind of dipped down 19, 20, that's COVID. But if you notice, between 1920 and 21, 22, we had some really good years there, which we went over $5 million. And in fact, from 21, 22 up until this year, it's been fairly steady, although it's been a slight decline. We're still over 5 million. When we look at the rest of the spreadsheet, and I go, and I've, like I said, this is 10 years worth of data. I've gone through and I've done my share of analysis, numerical analysis. We've got it figured out on average how much each month contributes, because obviously the winter months, they don't contribute as much. Summer months contribute more. So we've got all that factored in here. And based on what we've got in the first 4 months of this year, it looks like our sales tax is actually trending down. For what reason? It's anybody's guess. It's probably a number of things. It could be, well, it could be anything. Pending building moratorium. It could be the national fever around immigration. It could be a number of things. It's probably parts of all of that. But that's concerning because this is such a big source of revenue. You saw the numbers I just showed. We're at about 49%. I feel confident about that on revenues, but that only works if we're 49% or less on the expenditure side. We're trending that way. Don't forget, we've got a budget season coming up right now. There still is, inflation still is positive. Costs are going up. We have 5 labor groups coming to the table this winter and spring that we've got to figure out what we're going to do. This is one of our big revenues, and it's trending slightly negative. Even if it was trending flat, we'd have issues, but we've got a little bit more of a problem because of that. I think that's all I've got for this. So I think we're okay. We're certainly not out of the woods. And we've got big issues that we've got to deal with in the next couple of months related to putting the budget together, making it work, and making it work with our labor groups as well. So that's my presentation.
Any
I'll take
questions?
questions?
Questions from council?
None.
I think you answered a lot of my questions, Paul, but I just thought I'd ask, just review a few things here. On page 67, the revenue is at 41%. Is that typical for this time of the year? Is this?
Yeah, that's very typical. And, you know, without actually physically accruing the things that I was talking about, those things, yeah, I can't remember what it was last year. I think it was probably 42, 43%. And the typical things we throw back in are the same things that we do every year, because we're always 2.5 months late on sales tax. We always get those franchise fees in, you know, in April is when they come in. So at the end of the day, it is very typical. You know, there are a couple of spots like the construction permits were actually up quite a bit. I don't know how long that's gonna, I mean, who knows? We get into a building moratorium, it's going to zero. We're not going to zero, but the big things that require water will go to zero.
Right.
So we're up in the air, and it is fairly typical. What's not typical is the sales tax.
Okay. I noticed on page 71, the expenditures list, and I think you mentioned some of those, that some of those were, you know, at 52, 53, 58%.
Yeah.
Various departments. We're going to be able to keep a close eye on those and make sure we.
Yeah,
get
we've
some of that
already
under
talked about them in detail. We know why we've got them. We're working on making sure that we're doing everything we can to fix them, because let's just say public safety. We can do as
Priority.
much scheduling as we can, but if we've got things going on, there's not a lot we can do.
Right.
So,
Okay. And I noticed a lot of the revenues are below 50%. Are we going to be able to recover a lot of that? Do you
Sorry,
think it's
which
just
one?
the revenues on page 73?
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to recover a lot of that as
Oh,
far
here.
as in the second half of the year?
yeah,
I know
let me go here.
You
Let's go
mentioned
to
sales
here.
tax, but
Yeah, so we got sales tax, franchise fees, the interfund transfers, those will be exactly what they should be. As long as, because we do get admin transfer monies from the 2 enterprise funds. And since we've had increases in both of those, it's based on revenues in the enterprise fund. So those will come across with the same amounts. Those will be fine. Let me look here. Interfund transfers, 31% is other taxes. I don't know that that's going to, that's the
yeah, the
sales
other
tax.
taxes I was wondering, you know, it's projected to be 5 million. We're at about 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I do. So the spreadsheet, I'll make this available to anybody. So this is the 10-year analysis. At the very bottom, I'll show it to you here. Oh, here it is right here. It's a little smaller.
Yeah, slide.
Okay, So this table, I guess, as it were, is a summary of all the individual 10 years. It's 10 years worth of data. Sales taxes are regular.
That's Bradley Burns.
That's Bradley Burns. And then
Okay.
we got our 1%, which is measures V or X, and use the 3/4%. Those are the totals for each year, and then a grand total for the year. You can see it go from 2.7, 3.6, 3.7, 3.6, 4.5, 5.1, 5.1. Oh, okay, I did not do that. I guess everyone wants to see it better. So the last 2 years, so 24, 25, it went from 5.1 to 5.08. And in going through and doing the analysis of the distribution between the months, and this has been pretty close because I've been doing this for a number of years. We're looking at 4.87, which is 4.9
Down.
versus, I think we budgeted pretty flat
Okay.
for this year. And it looks like it's coming in a little bit shorter than that.
Couple
We're gonna
hundred
get
thousand.
there. I don't know. It depends. But I think the main thing to look at this is to say, we're probably a couple $100,000. That's how we start planning. What are we gonna do? How do we make up the couple $100,000?
And just for everybody's knowledge, the V and X and a W and T, that's the tax measures that were, the city imposed,
Yes,
the voters imposed on themselves. correct?
yes, yes. And one of those will be coming back in November. Is it the 3/4%, I think? So, yeah, that's due, and you'll be considering, putting it on the ballot in November, pretty soon, next couple of months.
Okay. And the regular sales tax, that's the one that's set
Yes,
by the
yeah,
state.
that's the Bradley Burns, that's column D there.
Okay. All right, any other questions or any comments? Yep. Thank you, Paul.
Yes, indeed.
J3, presentation regarding the City of Greenfield Monterey Bay Self-Insurance Authority loss control efforts.
Yes. Okay, very good, thank you. This is just, we belong to an insurance pool, which basically means that 10 cities throughout Monterey County and Santa Cruz and San Benito counties have joined together to get better rates on insurance, whether it's employment, like workers' comp insurance or liability insurance. Over the past, wow, I'm gonna say, some of this stuff is 15 years old now. Over the past 15 years, back then, wow, the pool was not doing well. And they did a variety, and the pool is managed by actual insurance people. They know how to do all the things. They advise us on what we should do. Of course, we make the decisions. Every city has a seat on the board. It just so happens I'm the chair at this point for the last, I don't know, year, I guess, close to. And so we've made some improvements in a lot of areas that have really helped us keep our exposure down, whether it's employee exposure, liability exposure. And we kind of want to go through the highlights of, hey, these are the things we've been doing that have, a lot of it hasn't actually reduced our premiums, but they've minimized them, right? Insurance, there's so many claims going on, especially in California. It's a very litigious state. And when you get into employer-employee things, it can go pretty crazy. So we've been lucky, we've been smart, and we've implemented a lot of these loss control efforts. The first one, so the purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of those programs, highlight the risk management and cost containment strategies, summarize. Very funny, Louis. Are you out back there changing my thing? Summarize recent enhancements and investments and demonstrate value to the city. The first thing that we do is back in 2018, we started engaging with companies that focus on ergonomics and workplace injury prevention. More and more workplace injuries are happening, cumulative CT, cumulative trauma on hands and feet and knees. public safety has all kinds of punitive trauma as they work on things. So we're trying to focus on early intervention, especially with office workers and ergonomic issues, chairs, where's your computer, your desk, all that kind of thing. So been working on it for a number of years. We've worked within them. We hope to think that we're getting better and better service from these newer people. Bryotechs, we've yet to see, so. Also employment practices and human resource risk management. LCW, which is Liebert Cassidy Whitmore. It has a consortium that all the cities pay into to get all kinds of great webinar services, as well as we have a certain number of hours that we can talk to them specifically about issues that we're having right now with employees. So that's the Monterey Bay Employment Relations Consortium. IRMA is the Employee Risk Management Association, which is a reinsurer. So we have Embasia that has all these people in it, but Embasia, there's certain limits on the coverage, and anything over and above the employment size goes to IRMA, and it's a much bigger pool with cities from all over California, and the liability goes to an organization called Karma, which again handles that above the limits of Embasia. They also, LCW also has some great legal training resources related to HR that department heads, supervisors, and directors, we try to get everybody in here to understand how to deal even better with employee issues. Driver and fleet safety program was implemented in 2025. Driver safety standards across the board for all 10 cities were talked about. Vehicle use policy adoptions, that is to hopefully reduce our auto liability exposure and having focused trainings and accountability. Things happen, like something happened the other day that a truck of ours was at a stop sign and got rear-ended. So that needs to have some kind of public safety report. But if we look ahead to the future, let's pretend we get sued for something because that's what happens in California. We make sure that, to the greatest extent possible, that our people that are driving, we test them. We drug test them, not because we think that they might, but because if we get to a lawsuit, that will have already been done. It would have been done there, would have shown that nobody had any drugs in their system. We also try to get an outside agency to do the report so that they can't say, oh, your police department, you blah, 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 change the facts, what have you. So we're trying to get ahead of things to make sure that we're covered and we're doing the right things just in case it goes to litigation. Police risk management, they've done a lot of things and they've got a lot of programs. There's a police risk management working group within Embasia, Rick Wall Police Agency Review, Lexapol and briefing room trainings and legal trainings with a well-known trainer named Greg Fox. Employee support and wellness. So this is an EAP resource called Concern for mental health and for regular employee program. There's a first responder program for mental health and crisis resources and organizational resilience focus in case of traumatic exposure, for the whole group. Infrastructure and public risk programs, sidewalk maintenance, you probably have seen the two greatest, biggest risks in any city are trips and falls and issues related to the police department. Sidewalk maintenance, somebody came up with this in 2022, grinding sidewalks down. And so that you've got things where you can trip and fall, and if it's not too high, they can just grind them down and basically level them off. It was ingenious. It's reduced everyone in our pools exposure because they're not getting the trip and falls because everyone's got these little problems and they're coming up all the time. So we've implemented a plan, everybody's implemented a plan to get our sidewalks ground down. Safety grant program, we have been getting $7,500 a year to invest in preventative things like ergonomics, better keyboards, better mice, more analyses related to, you know, where are you on your chair and how you do your work. Quarterly training announcements from PRISM, DKF, which is labor training for water and wastewater people, IRMA, which is HR and employment practices, we talked about that, and Alliant, which is IRIC, which is language used in contracts to make sure that we're covered on all of our documents related to risk, Parks and Rec, special events, and general training. We started back in 2023 a biennial risk summit in which there were 10 presentations in 2023 related to, it was the whole 10 people, and instead of it just being the board members, we invited directors, supervisors, and managers to come and learn about risk management so that they could learn all about the employee part, also the liability part. And they could take, they could go in one of, well, the first year, we just had 10 presentations. The second year, which was just this past year, we had 9 presentations, but police were separated out to do their own track. And municipal and HR had tracks as well. And service providers actually did the training. So it was all real good information. Invasion Resource Guide in 2022. So PRISM, IRMA, Karma, APIP, cyber programs. So all of the programs we put together a resource guide so that we've got all of our programs in one document, who to talk to, you know, what they're for, how you go about moving through processing things in each of those programs. Financial stewardship and investment strategy. So as you would imagine, a 10-city pool, agency pool, has a lot of money because they hold our money to buy insurance premiums, and they hold money to do a lot of things, pay bills, to get things done. The managers there struck a deal with a local, well, Santa Cruz County Bank, and they just changed their name, I know that, I don't know what it is. Struck a deal to get paid LAIF plus 25 basis points. So they're actually paying better than LAIF. And short-term yield enhancement, improved. So we're actually making money on the money that we've got sitting at Invasia. So it's just constantly looking for ways to kind of, at the end of the day, reduce the amount of money we need to invest into this pool. So we're reducing claims exposure, we're improving employee safety and compliance, enhancing training and legal support, and certainly strengthening the position of the pool itself. And we are much better off than we were 15 years ago. And it's just been a slow thing as we adopt better practices. That is it for me. So any questions? No, that's kind of dry, sorry. Especially after all the excitement of the budget.
For Paul?
Yes.
I'm just going to listen to this all over again tonight. That's an incredible amount of work on your part to put it all together. So looks like Greenfield's in a good place.
Yeah, Greenfield's in a good place. Most of the, I mean, it's funny because I'm so on the chair at this point, maybe for another year probably. But I've been involved with them for the past 7 years. I am also the Invasia representative to the employer excess insurer, IRMA. And that's, I don't know, 25 cities from all over California. And it's interesting is, we used to hear in Beja about claims, and you just go, you cringe and you go, ooh, how'd that happen? You might have a police dog that someone's got on a leash. That leash they thought was 10 feet, but it was really 25 feet. You go, ooh, bummer. And so you hear about that, and sometimes you have to deal with one of those. We're not dealing with those anymore, but looking at 25 agencies that are much bigger, and they've got a whole host of things. You go, oh my gosh. At this point, we're starting to say, how do they let that happen? And so it's kind of a nice feeling knowing that, oh my God, I don't feel like, you crossing your fingers, knock on wood, that it's going to happen here. But I'm pretty confident in our staff, all of our staff, from directors down to, line people, that, what, we're getting the training. These water and wastewater tailgate things are happening. They're happening everywhere. We're doing, LCW is doing webinars periodically. We're getting out to the managers and supervisors. And it's big for them because they get to come in and they're talking to us about the same issues that we've got to deal with, but it's really, they're the ones that got to put these forms together and do the reporting. And it's just everyone's getting better at what they're doing. So it's all very good. Short answer, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you, Paul,
Yes.
for taking that on. I appreciate your work on that. I know that takes a lot of your time, so. All right. Move to item K, introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the City Council, City of Greenfield, amending chapter 5.08, solicitors, peddlers, transient vendors of the Greenfield Municipal Code. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor White and City Council. This item is largely administrative. It was brought to our attention actually during the public comment regarding the gazebo farmers market that this, excuse me, that the city's municipal code related to street vending and peddlers wasn't compliant with state law. And so the purpose of this ordinance amendment is to bring the code into compliance with state law. So in January of 2019, the state passed the Safe Sidewalk Vending Act. And among other things, it regulated how cities can regulate street vendors. So for example, a city cannot limit the number of street vendor permits that they issue. So we made a few changes to the ordinance, the city's ordinance, to bring it into compliance with state law, and the main ones being removing the limit on the number of permits that can be issued. And then also state law only allows financial penalties to be issued if someone doesn't comply with the street vendor ordinance. There still are regulations as to when and where you can street vend, but the law says that you can assess financial penalties, but you couldn't do something like impound somebody's cart if they violate these rules. So those are the two main changes. We removed the limit on the number and then also removed the allowance of the city to impound somebody's cart for violating the rules. And then also made a couple of just cleanup changes where, for example, there was authority delegated to the city clerk to do certain tasks that actually the assistant administrative director does. So just kind of cleaned up language to make it consistent with actual practice. So that's my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Also,
My only question is, who does this apply to? Is it's basically like the ice cream carts and that kind of stuff, or is it other things also?
So it largely, yes, it's anyone. So even people who are going door to door or people pushing a cart. So it does define all of the different activities that are included in the ordinance, but all of those kind of just street vending.
It doesn't apply to like gazebo market and flea market and that kind of stuff. It's more the carts around town.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So this now just makes us fully consistent with the law.
Yeah. And then just real quick, when you are ready to make a motion, there is proposed motion on page 11, which, or I'm sorry, is it page 11? It's page 97.
Yeah.
That I can read when you're ready, or if you guys would read it, because it is an ordinance adoption or introduction.
All right, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on K1. Do we have anybody who would like to speak to this item? Yeah, it needs to be on this particular item. So we did the general one earlier. Seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Entertain a motion if there's any questions. Sure.
How many permits do we have out right now?
19.
19. Do we have any pending?
We have a big list of people who want to,
She said there is a wait list.
There's a wait
Yes,
list?
because it was limited to 19 previously, and that, so people have been waiting. So those potentially could be issued permits if they're still interested and they apply.
So are you gonna start? Juvenile permit? Yeah.
Is the process gonna be like, those people will just be contacted and a permit issued since they already applied, or do those applications expire and they would need to reapply now?
if it's the way it used to be, the application they have a process they have to go by. They have to get fingerprinted, they have to get their business license. There's things that they need to comply with before a permit is issued or
Like the
license
ones
is
that
issued.
like are on that wait list that you
No,
mentioned?
they haven't gone through that process. They're just on the waiting list to see if
Find
they
out.
can apply.
But let me rephrase my question. So those, will we be contacting them to let them know that this is different now and that they can
I'm assuming
pursue the
that,
application
that the
process?
ladies up front would be able to, they have the list. I haven't seen it in such a long time, so I don't know what kind of information is on there.
I think the process will be find a way to get a hold of them, make a public announcement and get a hold of them and process since there is no, I mean, it doesn't matter when they come in because everyone can get one now. So there's no ranking order. We'll make a public announcement. We'll contact these people and just let them know that it's available to come in.
Things have changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Right? Need a motion,
Would you like me to read the
Oh,
motion?
please?
Sorry.
I move to introduce by title only and waive the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council amending Chapter 5.008 of the Greenfield Municipal Code related to solicitors, peddlers, transient vendors.
So, you got a motion?
Make motion.
Need a second?
I second with the amendment to that is just, it's not 5.008, just so that we list it correctly, it's 5.08.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I always say oh also for zero, so I got that, but yeah,
Okay.
5.08. So I second that.
All right, motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move to brief reports on conferences, seminars, meetings attended by mayor and city council. League of California Cities. Anything on that? TAMSI, my new one. We're meeting tomorrow at 9. We have a closed session for a performance evaluation for the executive director. And also we are approving, or I'm being asked to approve a resolution to apportion $23,800,000 for the MSD fiscal year 26-27. So all the bus lines. So this is from the local transportation fund. So those are the two big items that are on the
Take a
agenda
lunch.
tomorrow.
Pack a lunch.
Hopefully not. That was last month. Item C, Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments.
That was me, but the meeting got canceled.
Right.
So, next meeting is on March 11th. Thank you for letting me know that it was canceled. I was halfway there. Turn around and come back.
That was late notification. We didn't get I got an email there like at 4:45 or whatever it was, so.
So
I got to have dinner with a friend, so that was nice.
It worked out.
Wasn't
All
a
right.
waste.
Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority.
Yes, we did meet, and we quickly cover the increased rates. It's going to be either like, it's very minimal, but it might be $1 more to go to the landfills and dump garbage. The other thing they wanted also to make sure that we understand about the plastic bags, paper bags. It really refers to grocery stores. There are some grocery stores who still may be using plastic bags because they're allowed to use up whatever inventory they had, but they will be moving to just paper bags. But the paper bag the plastic bags does not include restaurants. So if you go to restaurants and you're seeing even the taco trucks or the truck vendors are giving you their food in plastic bags, the plastic bag rule does not apply to restaurants, farmers markets, non-food retail, garment bags, prescription pharmacy bags. For example, those were the ones that were brought up. And also to be conscious that those little plastic bags that you're seeing at the produce section, they're usually like a light green color and it says compostable. Most of them, they really aren't. It takes too long, and it takes the degree of heat that needs to be happening in the landfills for it to really make a difference. Those bags aren't going to decompose. So best if you're going to go to the grocery store, use those little plastic bags for your produce. You're going to have to put them in the waste can, not in your yard waste. It goes in your regular trash cans, and not recyclable either. So not
So
sure.
don't put them in the green can, correct?
Don't put it in your yard waste. Let's see. And then also kudos to our bike repair through our city. It's making an impact, not just in Greenfield, it's countywide and even statewide. We are getting some really good feedback about not only does it help, the landfills, but there are things like we're increasing fun, health, family time, safety, and even just people who didn't know how they can communicate or how they can contribute to their communities. They have a bike or they want to introduce a way to help. So thank you for the bike repair. I don't know if it started off as just a bike repair project, but it's an incredible amount of impact that it's making on our state. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Monterey Salinas Transit.
We met February 9th. We received an annual financial report. We reappointed 2 members to new 3-year terms for the Measure Q Oversight Committee. Approved reallocation of funds for the purchase of 13 Gillig battery electric buses. We also had a discussion about or approved a request from Gillig for tariff-related cost increase, which if you're following news, it might not need to happen now, but we had to approve that in order to move forward with the purchase of those buses. And that was all.
All right, very good. South Salinas Valley Broadband Authority.
Yes, so I went and replaced Councilmember Garcia. We got financial statement audits back. This is from June 30th, 2024. It looks good. And we got a new executive director and clerk to the board, Jose Luis Barajas. That's pretty much it. And then the next one will be in April.
All right, thank you. Right, Monterey County Mayor's Association, we met on February the 6th. Previously, I mentioned about the Veterans Transition Center in Marina. We talked about that. We also discussed state budget projections, lots of concerns that the governor's projections are a bit too optimistic. So that will be most likely be another really tight budget year. The conclusion I reached was that as a city, we need to be very conservative in our budget process. It's just not going to be a lot of money coming out of Sacramento. So let's see. Salinas Valley mayors and managers met yesterday here in Greenfield. City Manager Wood gave us an extensive presentation regarding the many things we're working on, including our commercial development, our housing, the status of a moratorium. And we also discussed having a representative from Rancho Cielo come to one of our meetings because we've discussed some job stuff, job training down in this area. That was it. Paul, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up about that?
Oh, just the discussion related to sales tax allocation.
Right.
Yeah, so with these big warehouses, like the one going into outside of Salinas, at the current time, the state is allocating amongst the districts that those warehouses serve. I don't know if it's based on I'm not sure exactly what it's based on, but there's a lot of disagreement as to how that allocation should happen. That's at the state level now. City Managers Group for Cal Cities threw a thing out there because it's also about the distribution, the allocation between counties where these things normally occur, not within cities, and the actual cities around it. So that's just a hot topic. I keep hearing there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. So we're hoping we're on one of the losers. So we'll get more involved. There's no answers yet, but we're looking to see if we can come up with some kind of agreement amongst all of us that
Cal Cities, they couldn't agree on anything, correct?
Right, that's correct. Yeah, they threw out an option, 50-50 split, and these guardrails, and the city managers came up with that 50-50 between the cities and the county, and the board that was the Cal Cities board said no, that's not what we're going to go for. So we're back at
square one.
Square one, yeah, but it's a big issue.
All right, Planning Commission.
Meet next Tuesday.
Okay. City Attorney report.
I have nothing to report.
City Manager report.
Nothing more to report.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. With that, we will adjourn the meeting.